Hey there, welcome to the sermon preview for this week. I'm really glad you're taking a couple minutes to prepare yourself for the sermon for Sunday. We've just finished up our He Went First intro series where we looked at how Jesus is our example for everything that we do. And we just scratched the surface on this, right? We talked about how Jesus loved, how he served, how he prayed, how he forgave, how he suffered, and how he died. And that's just scratching the surface. But we can look at that, how he is our example. And that's our theme for the year. Jesus, he went first. Jesus is our example. He went first in everything. So we can look to him for that. And so as we're jumping into this new series is called VII. And you might be wondering, why is it called VII? Well, this is our Lent series, and actually our Lent season is starting today, and when this video is posted, it's Ash Wednesday. That kicks off the Lent season. And for this Lent series, we are looking at the 7 signs that are recorded in the Gospel of John. So we're looking at these 7 signs or 7 miracles that are recorded in the Gospel of John, the different things that Jesus did. And the Gospel of John even says in chapter 20 that these are not all of the signs or all the miracles that Jesus did. There's just a few of them, and they're there for a reason, right? And the reason is that they are all 7 pointing to the redeeming work of Jesus in some way. And they kind of build on top of each other, right? So we start off with the sign of Jesus turning water into wine. The sign of Jesus healing the official son. The sign of Jesus healing the paralyzed man at the pool of Bethsaida. The sign of Jesus feeding the 5,000. The sign of Jesus walking on water. The sign of Jesus healing the blind man, and then the sign of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. So we have these 7 signs, and they're all pointing towards something, and they're pointing towards the final miracle of Jesus being resurrected from the dead, of the resurrection. And all of this is pointing to the redeeming work of Jesus here on earth for us. And so that's kind of what we're focusing on for our Lent series, again called 7. We're looking at the 7 signs that are recorded in the Gospel of John. So we're looking at this coming week, February 26th, we're looking at the first sign, which is Jesus turning water into wine. And that's recorded in John chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. And so in this passage, it's really interesting. We see that they're at a wedding festival, they're a wedding feast, and they run out of wine, which is not a good thing. It's not a good thing to run out of wine. And so Mary says, "Hey, servants, you do what Jesus tells you to do." And so Jesus says, "Well, hang on a second. My hour hasn't come yet." But yet he continues on and he tells the servants to take these jugs, fill them up with water, and then when they go to dip out the liquid that's inside, it has transformed into wine. And it's transformed into great wine, the best wine. So we have this miracle where Jesus turns water into wine. So what does this mean? How does this point towards Jesus' redeeming work here on earth? Well, I think at the surface level, it can teach us that Jesus is the Lord over nature. Right? He can take nature and turn it into what he wants to do. Right? That's great. But as we dig a little bit deeper into this, we see that Jesus is also the Lord over human nature. All right, let's unpack this a little bit, because Jesus is Lord over human nature. So he takes us in our death, he takes us in our sin, he takes us in our tasteless colorness like water, and he transforms us into something new, something bright and vibrant and vital, sparkling like wine. Right? We go from one thing, we are transformed into something else. That's the redeeming work of Jesus, this transformation that Jesus does in our lives. And I think that's kind of the underlying purpose of this sign, of this miracle. It points to the transforming work that Jesus does in our lives. And there's actually a really cool connection that John makes later in John in chapter 3, where Nicodemus comes to Jesus and Jesus talks to him about being born again, about having new life. Right? That's what this sign is pointing to. It's this idea of we're taken in our old life, we are transformed into something brand new that only Jesus can do. So really looking forward to Sunday. I think there's a lot of great things that we can get from this passage. Looking at it at the surface level, it's like, how does turning water into wine have anything to do with us? But the deeper we get, the more we see that it's about this transformation. It's about how Jesus is the Lord over our lives, and he transforms us into something new. So as you're looking at this passage, I encourage you to read over it several times, maybe in different translations, and to be thinking about, how has Jesus transformed my life? How has he changed me? How has he taken me from one thing, transformed me into something else, something better, something new, something fresh? So I'm excited for Sunday. I hope you are as well. Look forward to gathering together, worshiping with you on Sunday. Take care.